Now for the big one, the SEC. The SEC has the most quality players of any conference. As for producing defensive talent, the SEC has no peer. Some headline-seeking pundits have stated the SEC is declining, especially with so few returning starting quarterbacks. Yes, most SEC offenses will struggle against opposing SEC defenses in 2016. But take any team in the top half of the SEC and put them in any other conference, and chances are they would dominate. Take even Kentucky or Vanderbilt, and they would be contenders in any other conference. Alternatively, how many teams from other conferences could be dropped into the SEC and still keep their heads above water? Coaches change, players leave, but SEC tradition remains strong. I've identified 4 teams from the SEC that could make the playoffs in 2016. Alabama's Nick Saban finds himself in familiar territory. The Tide remains loaded with the best talent in the country. However, questions persist at quarterback. It's not that there aren't enough warm bodies on hand. It's that too few have taken college snaps. Saban has been fortunate with the late emergence of Blake Sims and Jake Coker the past 2 seasons. Third time's the charm, right? We'll see. If the Tide can come up with a quarterback that is a little bit more than a game manager, then Alabama most definitely has a shot at winning another national title. However, if the revolving door of starters continues deep into the season, then the Tide could come up short in the hyper-challenging SEC West. LSU running back Leonard Fournette was good enough to play in the NFL before last season even began. He looked like a man among embryos much of the season. If he can get a little help, then there's no question LSU will make the playoffs. For the first time in a while, LSU did not lose a significant portion of its roster to the NFL. A little stability will go a long way in 2016. Every individual on the planet who can recognize a football knows opposing defenses will key on Fournette. So Les Miles had better come up with a more innovative offense to take some pressure off of his bell cow. Quarterback Brandon Harris returns for a 3rd season, and he should be the difference between a good season and a stellar one. Harris has the talent and the wide receivers to do some damage. He was thrown to the Wolves early on, and it shook his confidence. Now, Harris is poised to break out. If the offensive line gives him time to throw and the defense continues to mature, LSU has a very strong chance. The Mississippi Rebels have faced a boatload of bad press during the offseason, along with the defection of their best players to the NFL. So the question is, can Hugh Freeze reload? Well, the talent is there. Mississippi built its reputation on the grit and determination of a bunch of 2- and 3-star defensive recruits, but the past few recruiting cycles had delivered previously unimaginable talent. Expect the stellar defensive performances to continue. And with returning quarterback Chad Kelly, the Rebels have the top passer in the SEC. Can Mississippi catch Alabama off guard for a 3rd season? Maybe. The game is in Oxford. With a few breaks, Hugh Freeze's bunch could be in the playoffs. Finally, one must ask, have the Tennessee Volunteers finally risen into the upper echelon of the SEC? Tennessee has recruited well, but they have yet to back it up on the field. Butch Jones has rebuilt his team from the ground up, but is it really ready to make a run at the playoffs? The Volunteers return 18 starters from a team that won 9 games in 2015 and is the clear front runner to win the SEC East. The key, however, is beating Alabama. How long has it been since the Volunteers defeated the Tide? Was Madison in office or Jefferson? This could be the year, however, with the game in Knoxville. And one could provide Tennessee with the momentum to close out the season with a bang.